or you want to be. You get paid to do marketing rather than do analysis. The second is what I'll call the corruption of omission. Powerful people can hurt you if you object to them, so you tend to stay quiet. Anthropologists will tell you that the way to study power in a society is to understand the contours of the silences. The silences reveal what's not said, and that's the clue to where power is. The third one that I think is very, very problematic is a yearning for order, what you might call the corruption of false precision. Demagogues tell you they have a clear crystal ball, or they have a model, or they're scientific, and a lot of it is theater, a lot of it is malarkey, a lot of it's what they call a confidence game. Pretending that your tools and your methods make you more sound is belied by experience. And most really good economists know that econometric models pretend that society is stationary.
Now, let me give you two examples of non-economic.
Morning. Woo, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Don't talk so loud. We're gonna make America great again. I'm gonna eat my cereal. It's about to be great again. Hold on, just shh, be patient. Because you know how it goes. The right always think you're on the left, and the left always think you're on the right. So I figure I'd come to you. A friend of mine sent me this picture. I figure I'd come to you from one of the rallies. But if this particular rally isn't doing it for you, isn't it, you ain't thinking, oh, he coming out the closet, he loved Trump. He could, because I know he had love some Trump, because he didn't vote with us. But, in case you're feeling bad, I wonder, though, about America being great again. I do wonder about that sometimes. I'm of a particular mindset that you don't ask the question, can you make America great again? You ask the question, is America greatable? Maybe that's the question we need to ask. And if that picture offends you, I can jump somewhere else. So go ahead. Listen, we're going to be stronger together, y'all. Together, we're going to be stronger. And by together, we mean with the 1% of the 1%. Because the billionaires are always coming to save us. Oh, everybody, all the time, the billionaires, because if the other billionaire ain't going to save us, then this billionaire, and if this billionaire ain't going to save us, we're going to get Oprah. But another billionaire is going to come and save the commoners. Please come help us. Come help. Lords and kings, we need help. We can't pull these carts. We need some help with the donkeys. And we all going to be strong together. And Hillary and Bill, they going to get down, grab the cart, pull it with us. I'm sorry. I'm having a little fun this morning. But I wasn't over there neither. I'm sorry. I'm going on. And I'm going to jumping around a little bit. I was over here, but this is where I was at. I was over here like, hey. But I even wondered with my decision, was that even possible? Is America greatable? And this is the question, because I don't like the mid-tier. I don't want to talk about the side effects. I want to talk about the actual root cause problems. Because if you're dealing with side effects, you never solve anything. You just sell a bunch of drugs and medications. So, but where I wanted to be, I wanted to be over here. This is what I want to happen. But as much as Brother Paul was off the charts and always spot on about just shut it all down, turn this off, turn that off, take away the key, don't give it to the billionaires, they can't have it, shut down the IRS, shut down the CIA, just get rid of all of them. All the things y'all agree with now, but out of end slavery, end mass incarceration, all the great stuff he talked. But I even wonder, though, even if he led the free world, and it's not about America. I say, is America greatable? Because that was just what people like to say. Is the earth greatable? Is the earth in a configuration? Do we have the people, the structures, the love, the empathy, the wisdom? Do we even have that prominent anywhere on the planet where it's greatable? Because you can't talk about it being great unless you know that it's within a system that is gradable. So I'm having a little fun this morning. Hold on, bear with me for a second. I'm trying to make a point. Because the ally against the 99%, to ally against you commoners, all types of wealthy, powerful people will come together. Just come together. People who hate each other, people who can't stand each other, people who behind their doors cuss each other out on a daily basis will get together because they know who they work for. They all work for the same people. And I'm not, it's not a personal thing, not a personality thing. It's not even a character thing. It's not even a people thing. It's just an understanding that if our world is not gradable, if our nations aren't gradable, why are we talking about making it great? What was the slogan? I forgot his slogan. What was the slogan? Well, he said something about we're going to clean up Washington. Is there a broom in Washington? Do they got a mop? Is it some borax? No, don't mess with borax. Never mind. I say borax. That's a carcinogen. That'll kill y'all. Is there any Windex in Washington anywhere before you clean up Washington? You get there, you don't have the supplies, you can't clean the damn thing up, which is why probably nothing ever got cleaned up. Talk about draining the swamp. I can't talk about, I'm in the wrong screen. Let me go ahead. Talking about draining the swamp. I love this picture. I love it. It's a Photoshop. I love it to death. But anyway, that's not the point. Talking about draining the swamp. Does the swamp have a plug? Does anybody ask the root questions? I know everybody want to talk about the mid-tier. We're going to drain the swamp. We're going to make America great. It's not gradable. And when they made the artificial swamp, well, that's a good question. Is the swamp a real swamp or is it an artificial swamp? Because a real swamp might have a drain on it. Like naturally, it's just how things work with clay layers and rocks. All swamps, they'll drain after a while. Water's not going in. But is Washington a real swamp? Not before y'all knock down, drain the real swamp and put Washington and the White House up. But is there a drain on the swamp? Would the people who invented the swamp be dumb enough to put a drain on it? I don't think so. So talking about all these duct tape fixes, everybody's got some duct tape. Everybody just duct taping everything. Let me get off of here because y'all want to. Everybody want to duct tape fix something. And I think that's my question for the morning. The thing that's boggling my cranium: is America fixable with duct tape? Can we take some duct tape and actually get the car down the damn road? Perhaps, but at some point, if you duct tape fix it, the car gonna fall the hell apart. And so this is the question I'm thinking about this morning. I'm eating my cereal. Y'all gotta bear with me for a second. Is America gradable? I don't think it is. At sometimes, we used to call it a hoopty. At some point in time in your life, and I'm all about some sustainability. Get your car down the road. I had a father and some uncles. You know what their belief was? Their belief was that a car should go at least 10 years. A car had to go a decade. That's not saying a lot today, but damn it, when you go back and you look at the 1970s and 80s, that was huge to get a car to go over a decade. But that was their goal. There's some sustainable dudes, man. There was some real sustainable. And I'm thinking, maybe it's time that we turn that car in. Maybe, perhaps, our world in the current model and structure is not gradable. Just perhaps, maybe, the system that we have with just unrestrained conservatism, right? Just conserve on every damn thing, every topic, because I'm in the conservative group. Or progress on every damn thing. Just keep progressing. Just don't matter what it is. Just progress. Keep going forward. Keep going forward. Doesn't matter. People dying, carcinogens, vaccines, and the drugs, synthetics, and people dying of cancer. Just keep going. People going crazy and psychotic. Give them the SSRIs. Give them everything. Just antidepressants. People depressed. No, the problem isn't their job. The problem isn't their life. The problem isn't that they need some help. The problem is they need some drugs. Give them drugs. Give them drugs. Just, keep progressing. Progress. And my general philosophy is, you know what, there's certain things that you need to conserve on, and there's certain things that you do need to progress and move forward on. But all of those things have to encompass some kind of wisdom. I started off with a brother. Oh, he blew me away. Y'all already know how I feel about Davos. Y'all know precisely how I feel about the billionaires of the world all getting together at one of the most wealthiest resorts just possible, even imaginable, to talk about world economics of all us poor people. Driving duct tape cars. I don't believe the billionaires are here to save us, but that's me. I'm just, maybe I'm crippled, crazy, blind, something. I don't believe that the lords and the kings ever had any intention of saving us. But you know what? I was watching some of the talks in Davos, and not everybody at Davos is an idiot. Not everybody is an idiot. Now, mind you, thousands of people are now running out in the street and they're protesting Trump coming to show up to talk about some nationalism. But from where I sit, I always like to ask the question. I want to know the rest of the story. I know Paul Harvey, he used to say, the rest of the story. I want to know the rest of the story. Because I think all of these leaders and presidents, I actually think that they mean well. I do. Okay, you know what? That leads to a conversation I had yesterday. I had a conversation yesterday with someone who did business with Trump. And he didn't have nice things to say. But the reality, the real story is simply this. I don't blame the billionaires necessarily for being billionaires. They are what they are. They're all some wealthy, rich pricks, and the ones who aren't, who just in the millionaire crowd as leaders, they want to be billionaires, and so they do what the billionaires tell them to do. But so this nationalism thing, right? Because that's what everybody's protesting. That Trump showed up at Davos with a nationalistic agenda, and that's just evil. Is it? Everybody else, they're showing up for the poor. All the kings and the lords all showing up to kiss each other's rings, and they're going to help the poor. I think this whole nationalist message, like there are people who are actually protesting nationalism. There are people who are protesting Trumpism. There are people who are there who are protesting America. And by rightfully so, that one I agree with. I totally agree. War is a bad thing. But I want to think about it in terms of latrines, right? Poop hole, what do you say? Poop hole countries coming to our country. I want to think in terms of poop hole. So we went through the poop hole thing. And my take on that was very simple, that, sometimes people say things that are true, but because you don't like who said it, you flip off and go to ignorant land and you don't really pay attention to the message. Which I agree with the president that these countries are poop holes, but we always got to take it a step further. Why are they poop holes, right? And that landed us down the Haiti route. A lot of y'all didn't know what disaster capitalism and conflict minerals, and you didn't know about that, and Clinton Foundation, and how we've been taken there, that those countries just didn't magically become poop holes. Somebody actually killed everybody there, put a latrine in, and started doo-dooing down the hole. So it was a good thing that he said it. In terms of DACA, I think that now we're at a place where, I think he says things, and if we're actually paying attention, like he has no filters, right? He just, oh boy, if it just what that's somebody old one. I love old people. Y'all should find some old people in your life. They'll bless you. They're just wise. She said, baby, everything that comes up shouldn't come out. I didn't know what she was talking about. But every thought that comes up in your head shouldn't always come out your mouth, right? And Trump doesn't have those filters. He's not supposed to. He's a rich prick, right? He is a billionaire. And the guy I talked to yesterday, oh man, he shut down the guy's engineering firm for $60,000. He refused to pay because not the current wife, the wife before her, picked out some pattern for this Trump building somewhere that these guys were working on. And because the wife picked it out, he didn't like it. He cussed her out on the phone. Oh my goodness, that's a whole nother story. And then said, I'm not going to pay it because, she's fired. She picked this pattern, and I don't like it. But that's what I expect from a businessman, right? None of this surprises me, right? And none of it should surprise anybody. because you don't get to be a billionaire in this country without screwing a lot of people. You don't get to be a billionaire in the world without screwing a lot of people. But I think the lack of filter that he has is going to highlight a lot of issues. It's like I said 200 videos ago. I think he is going to make America great again. I think he's going to help to make the world great again if we can see through the BS. If we can see through, like the brother I just started off with, if we can see what's not being said, if we can see the invisible, if we don't get lost in who's saying the message and pay attention to the details of the message when he starts to highlight the things that piss him off, perhaps about the people he's fighting with and running the country like a business, I think we can push things to a place as people where America might be in a position where it might get gradable, where the world might get to a place where we've actually talked about some real issues. We might actually be able to put some real solutions in. So I think he's not going to make America great necessarily, but I think we can make the world more gradable if we pay attention, right? So focus on the poop hole countries. When these things fly out of his mouth, just like listen. You know, want to put the wall up. Why you want to put the wall up? Want to talk about DACA? Why? Because people don't want to live in their countries, so they want to come here. So what is the real immigration problem? People want to get here. Okay, so maybe we should stop destroying their countries. Okay, why'd we destroy their countries? War on drugs. Why war with the minerals? You know, slave labor. All of these things. Free labor in the country, undocumented people, so they can work for all these companies that are actually writing checks to the Democrats and the Republicans, right? Same thing happening in Germany, same thing happening over Europe and all over Europe with the immigrants coming from Syria, trying to get the hell out of their countries because we keep blowing everybody up over there. You know, I think if you listen, and so when I'm thinking about Davos and he's talking about the nationalism and people are protesting, I'm just saying, before we run out in the streets, start yelling, screaming, calling foul. Let's think about this a little bit. Now, the whole, you know, what I said before, sometimes, what is it? How did that old scripture go? Satan meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Don't get mad at me, Trump friends. I'm not saying he's Satan. I'm just saying sometimes bad things come out and we can take them and use them for good. So in terms of him being protested by these thousands of people on this topic of nationalism, I think that he's right, but we don't take it far enough. The only sustainable situation we can have in the world are by strong local economies, not the whole ignorant nationalism, 1% border, I'm a fight for that. But what if we took it further than that and we looked at the idea that the people in Davos who are trying to develop world trade agreements in an unequal world for slave labor and all the other little games that they like to play, what if they are wrong? What if the nationalism message is wrong? But the real message is we need a sustainable world. I was listening to this brother that I started with. Let me go down here. I was listening to him. His name is, and some of y'all probably know him. My friends are smart. I'm not that smart. Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson. He's an economist. And I forgot the name of, he's the president of some company. Let me listen to this brother. So y'all heard him talking about listen between the spaces. This is what we just talked about. This dude is deep. This brother, and I'll post the interview. He had a bunch of interviews. He actually had one with CGTN I could not find, which was phenomenally off the hook. He is there and he knows he is not amongst friends. He knows he is amongst idiots. He knows he's amongst the kings and the lords, but he's showing up trying to portray his message, trying to portray a message. Remember, now we're not going to play identity politics because he could be corrupt like everybody else down the road, but he has something important to say. Let me show you. And that was a pretty long interview, but I wanted to just play that.
And once identified, it has prospective remedies. There is an urgency, I believe, because of social instability all over the world rising to address inequality. This is a powerful group of people. At some level, are they going to recognize it? I think the answer is yes. A lot of very wealthy and powerful people are quite afraid right now. They see us on an unstable trajectory. They don't see our political institutions being what you might call representative, responsive, and pulling things together. Powerful people can escape the clutches of the government, meaning their company or they themselves don't have to bear the burden. They don't have to pay more taxes or whatever. But as the system doesn't have proper resources, as it doesn't represent people, things are getting more and more dangerous, as, say, Ferguson, Missouri brings to bear.
Is the world gradable? Listen to what he's talking about, right? He knows that the corporations, like they said, they can escape the governments. They own the governments, the big ones. They know they can get past this nonsense. They know that this world is in trouble. They know that they have to make some concessions. But the concessions that are coming, are they going to be good concessions? We live in an unequal world. There is no equal trade that can come about. The only thing that we can do is we can build up smaller, sustainable communities that roll up into maybe states and regions and perhaps nations, but don't lock it in at the 1% nations border thing. Lock it in at being a sustainable local group. Like the most powerful person in the world, the most powerful groups in the world are sustainable groups. Groups that don't need you. They have all their food, they have all their water, they have the minerals, they're doing their manufacturing. They don't need anything from the outside. They got their water. It's clean water, it's fresh water. They actually are strong because no matter what happens around the world, short of nuclear fallout, they will be fine. Consider not trying to get cheap things from another nation, but consider the idea of manufacturing low-cost goods in your own. Right? We tried this whole debt model, rolled out to all these different countries, and we know it doesn't work. Trade agreements are for billionaires. They're not for you. They won't help you. They might bring cheap goods into your country, but it's based on screwing someone else because all the trade agreements aren't equal because all the currencies aren't equal. So this was a deep, brother. Had some great stuff to talk about. I have to post some more stuff by Robert Johnson. I mean, it's great news that there are people who kind of understand it, but don't get lost in the nationalism. The message is partially right, but you got to take it all the way. Take it all the way down to a sustainable local level and don't get lost in the whole nationalism thing. So that was deep. I thought that was high. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm off. I'm already talking about stuff. I didn't even see who was in the room. I didn't even say good morning. I'm sorry. I was in some rabbit holes this morning, y'all. I ran. Somebody asked me a question. They said, do bras cause breast cancer? Right? Because that was going years back when you had the guy wrote the book about if bras cause breast cancer. I'll talk about that a little bit. But I was in some rabbit holes this morning. And you know me, I don't agree with nobody. I just want to look at the facts, talk about the things we know. Don't jump off on any cliffs on the things we don't know. And then try to make an intelligent decision. So at the end, y'all talk about my car. This is my duct tape car, man. This is America. This is the earth. We don't want to fix a damn thing, but we will put some duct tape on everything. We'll get the lords and the kings, because the lords and the kings don't want us to buy a new car. They just slap some duct tape on it, make it look a little better, and get people who are like who drinking the Kool-Aid, the people drinking the Kool-Aid, and get them to think, oh yeah, this is a good car. This is a nice car. Oh, it rides better. You got the duct tape on the side. You know, the people, the gaslit. Hold on. I was thinking about something this way. You know, the people who drink the Kool-Aid, the people who just buy into the Coke. They just buy into it. Just the eyes just gone. You know, they're just into it. Oh, we gonna change. We gonna fix Washington. We gonna make America great again. We gonna fix the world. We gonna go to Davos. This is gonna be great and delicious, and we gonna make things happen. You know, I don't believe none of that. Listen. I came from a generation, like I said, don't believe the hype. Don't rage for the machine, and don't become the power. You're supposed to fight the power. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't, stay out of that. Let me jump back. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say hi to everybody. Hey, how y'all doing this morning? Brother Manuel and Sharon, Terry, Renee. Who we got? Deborah, good morning. Natasha and Muhammad and Savannah. Trent, good morning. Heidi and Mary and brother Mike. What's up? Hey, Mike had a good post yesterday. Y'all need to watch Mike. Mike, this is a brother. Pay attention to the young people that just get it. Mike is only 22, but damn it, that brother got more common sense in his head than people twice his age. That brother, support that brother. Mike John, I posted this video yesterday. Thank you, Mike, for going live. Appreciate you speaking up, brother. Good stuff. We had Sister Rhonda in the house, and Kristen and Maria, Naomi, United States Corporate of America. Yes, because we are a corporation. But you know what? I think we're a part of a corporation. I think we are just like we're divided up between Pepsi Cola and all the Merck and all the pharmaceutical and the chemical companies. Monsanto owns some shares, and we don't get a say in anything. You know, we just vote about the duct tape that goes on the car. And they making big money from the fact that we're driving a busted car that's not gradable. Sister Kristen and Desiree, hey, how you doing this morning? Desiree turned me on to a great guru. I'm paying attention to somebody else. Guru Singh got some good videos out there. Solid teachings. Oh, love the brother. And we got Alec and Teresa in the house. Deborah. Yes, Kristen love me some Ron Paul too. I do. I love truth. You know what, Kristen? I love when Ron Paul would get up there in front of Congress and he'd be like, y'all foul, you stink, you got dirty socks, and your mama funky too. And he'd just tell them the truth. You're doing the American people wrong, and I don't care. And they're just booing him, and he's still going. That's why I love that brother. That's what he will speak the truth, and he doesn't care who is against him. And because all of the Congress and the Senate, and they always talking about him, that's why they after him, because the brother's speaking the truth. But not only that, the only person who's even speaking up in all of Washington about modern slavery is his son, Rand Paul. Nobody else is even talking about the millions of Americans we got locked in prisons, which includes the millions of people we got locked in prisons in France. You know, they're still rioting in France. They got a barricade around all the prisons, won't let nobody in the prisons because they pissed off 70 prisons because we got just crazy people all over the world. We're making more crazy people. But we're not going to talk about the crazy people. Actually, we are going to talk about crazy people. That's what we do. Sister Deborah, how you doing this morning? Jay, how you doing? Brother Don is in the house. Okay, we got a whole, I would say hi to everybody. I can't do a shout out to everybody, but we got a whole bunch of good people in here. Man, this is why we got a quorum. We can talk about things this morning. All right, so the first question, I was asked a question about breast cancer. Deep topic. We done lost a lot of good sisters to breast cancer. What in the heck do we do about that? So there was a guy who wrote a book, and he basically said, and I forgot his name. He said that the underwire, I know it sounds funny, dude talking about breast cancer. If my indoctrination slips out a little bit, my sisters will call me on it. So you don't have to worry about that. I got some deep sisters in here. So that the underwire and the constriction that bras cause, that they don't allow for toxins to leave the breast. And that's one place possibly where breast cancer could come from. Of course, the doctors chimed in. I don't think I'm going to go play any of the videos unless y'all want to see them. There was a study that happened, and the researcher studied about 1,000 women and came back and said that there is no evidence that bras cause breast cancer. And me, I understand one thing. There are 7 billion different types of people on this planet with 7 billion different types of genetics in 7 billion different types of situations. I don't care what any modern pharmacology or modern medicine's approach in terms of statistics to things. I don't care, because the persons who have the genetics where constriction of the breast could cause breast cancer may not have been in that study, right? So my perspective, the first question I have is, do laundry chemicals, the things that go on bras, are any of them carcinogens? And we know that answer. That answer is yes. We know that pushing fabrics that have been washed in these chemical solutions that we put in our laundry detergents, we know that these things are carcinogens, and being pressed against the leg, the arm, the breast, the neck, wherever, these are things that can cause cancer. Could the material from the underwire cause cancer? Possibly. I don't know. Have you looked at what the materials are in that particular bra? Was that fabric grown with pesticides? Cotton, organic cotton clothing, that's a thing now. So restriction of white blood cells to an area, and we know that breast tissue, it absorbs and it keeps a lot of the pesticides, the herbicides, and the metals and the things that we have. So the idea that anybody And this is where, like I said, and I'm not no doctor. I don't even play a doctor on TV because I think doctors are crazy as all hell. Love them, but I don't think they're healers. I'm interested in healing. So putting it in man terms, okay? Because I don't have big breastises. So putting it, I don't have any at all. But putting it in man terms, if they said that tighty whities, I don't know if that's still a thing. Some people could be wearing tighty whities and Speedos. I know some of my friends in Europe, y'all wear them all the time. Don't even lie, because I seen y'all on the beach. If y'all told me that perhaps the material could be something that could cause a carcinogen, I don't think I would wait for the next study. Not if it's something I didn't need. Now, mind you, my basis for most things are, don't try to convince me of something that you don't possibly know. You have no idea of what laundry detergent the person uses. You have no idea what the fabrics all the companies are using. You have no idea of what's sprayed on the fabrics before it's shipped to the country that you live in. You have no idea if it's the BPA from the plastic that these things are wrapped in. If one doctor, and which one did, came out and said that I saw tumor growth right in the section where the underwire is, I'm done with that thing. I'm done with that thing. If we know that denying skin oxygen is a really bad thing, yeah, I'm not going there. I don't need to know that people are dying from cigarette smoke in some sort of study by thousands of doctors and researchers a day after someone says smoking causes lung cancer. The first day someone says smoking causes lung cancer, I'm done with it. So is it possible that wearing tight-fitting clothing, whether it's a Speedo, a bra, some spandex, whatever it is, can they cause conditions in the body that can result in cancerous cell growth? The question is an undoubtable yes, it can. So if it can, you got to make that question as to whether or not it's worth the risk. That's what it comes down to, because nobody knows. And everybody that I can tell, they have ideas on one side, ideas on another side, but we know the truth usually is always in the middle somewhere. Is it possible? It is certainly possible. Looking back through our evolution, did we ever have any body parts that stayed constricted in any way as we evolved for 200,000 years? No. Wearing clothing is an entirely new concept, okay? From a solar radiation perspective, vitamin D3 comes from the sun, and you can't get vitamin D3 from anything else. Yeah, you can take a vitamin D vitamin. I'm not even sure that's vitamin D, but you can't get vitamin D3 from anything else. But not only that, vitamin D3 that comes from solar radiation has to go through your skin, and it has a certain effect on the immune system that they haven't been able to reproduce anywhere else. So I like to look back at how we evolved. We didn't evolve with all this clothing on. We definitely didn't evolve with tight clothing on. We certainly didn't evolve with pesticides and herbicides and carcinogens and the materials. If it were me, I would not mess with it. But that's just me. So that's my answer. I don't believe in waiting till people die. It's like the cell phone. Like the doctor said about the lady who had that tumor on her breast, almost precisely where her cell phone sat, where the antenna was on her cell phone. She was in sales. She constantly took her cell phone, put it in her bra in a certain location, and right where the antenna was, she developed a tumor. I don't need for the studies to come out. I don't, again, if we're walking in an area and there's 20 people, cavemen, oonga boonga boonga boonga, we're looking at the cave and they want me to go in the cave and get some berries or some water or something. And all 19 say, you know what, it's safe. Go in the cave, Gerard, you got it. And one person says, nope, oonga boonga, I ain't seen a bear in that cave. I ain't going in the cave because I ain't got to go in the cave. It's water down the street. It's some blueberries not too far. I'm going to go get them. I'm not going in that cave. So when it comes to health, I think you always err on the side of caution. If someone says the fluoride, the chlorine, and the Viagra and the pharmaceuticals they're finding in the water is causing problems, don't drink the water. If you have to, you have to. But if you don't have to, make another choice. When they come out and they say sugar's a carcinogen, damn it, don't eat apple pie every single night. If you eat it once a week, okay. Maybe you don't wear a bra every day. I don't know. But when somebody warns you and there's one little shred of evidence that this is a problem, it doesn't hurt you to walk away from it. It only hurts a corporation. And that's what this always tends to be about. It's about profit. They want you to keep buying these things. They don't want a public scare, and so they'll put out this research that kind of goes along with that process. You need to just be wise enough and say, you know what? Their profit isn't my concern. My health is my only concern. And then perhaps raise your kids, your daughters, to be cautioned with that too. Don't indoctrinate them into the same things that cause us sickness. So anyway, I'm not going to go down to too far down that road. Same thing with antidepressants and with the SSRI inhibitors and all that crazy stuff in terms of, certain people it doesn't work well for, and other people your body actually takes it out of your system or something like that. The antipsychotics, after 3 months or something, they don't work, and so you're bopping around, you think you're safe, and you start seeing demons again, you go shoot a bunch of people. We have real problems, and they all come down to profit. So anyway, that was my answer on that. But we're going back to Davos. So what's going on? Oh boy, nothing good. Nothing good. I was looking at Russia. Oh my goodness, I love me some Russia, but oh boy, this is just if the world is not gradable, then that is really our problem. It's not that the world can't be great. We just can't deal with the side effects. So you can take America down, you can fix America, but if you don't fix the world and
Is it revealed that talks are underway with several nations on the purchase of a state-of-the-art Russian missile defense system? Our Cecilia Petrenko has more.
It's acknowledged as one of the best air defense systems out there. It can strike 80 targets at a time at a range of 400 kilometers, even if they're traveling at 5 kilometers a second. I'm always about to say an hour, but no, a second. So perhaps that's why there's high demand. The S-400 isn't some undeveloped technology still on the drawing board or sitting in a dusty warehouse. It's on active duty in Syria, protecting Russian units there.
Gotta have the music. Isn't that cool? Oh, that's just cool.
The Russian army's top man hasn't revealed the names of the system's next buyers, but he did mention the regions, the Middle East and Southeast Asia. He's touring that part of the world right now. Mr. Shoigu says whenever he's talking to army bosses from other countries, there's always discussion about buying Russia's defense technology. So soon, we'll find out who's next in line for the S-400. I say next because Turkey has already got a contract, and when they signed the papers, it was big news. Sure, that's a NATO member, Washington's key ally that's counting on Russian engineering to keep its skies safe. Somewhere else that's military might is all but dependent on America is Saudi Arabia. But a few months ago, the Saudis and the Russians agreed on an S-400.
I'm not going to go too far into it, but do you see where this is going? Do you see at all where this is going? So you can make America great again. No, you can't. Not yet. Not yet. We're not in a gradable format. But the point is, as soon as the United States steps down as the world's largest arms dealer around the world, Russia will step in. And when someone else comes out, Russia will step down and they'll get someone. And this is why I'm saying that I don't honestly believe that nations exist. I think they're all just divisions and portions of crazy, ungradable system based on oligarchs and things that we don't know, people will never meet, that control all of this. So now they're getting all these rockets that Russia's selling them all over the world, these anti-aircraft weapons. Why? Because damn it, America keeps sending some damn aircrafts in everybody's airspace. So now these things are going to be shooting them down. Russia's going to make billions on the sale of this. And so it's just going to walk us in, and this is the whole arms race. If we don't do this as a Earth, this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying everybody has to come together. It's not an American thing. It's not a little silly group thing. And like America, they got their little groups, y'all. I'm talking about Americans. They got their little groups with race and people, they call them white and black and Hispanic and religions and Christians. And like all these little silly, dumb groups that get together and they divide up on a planet that doesn't have a whole lot of time to get some common damn sense. The whole world has to be on this agenda because one country can fix itself, but all you need is one country whose people don't run their government, and we're going to come right back to the same arms race we're trying to leave in fixing Washington. So, and the sickness is just deep and within. And so Saudi Arabia bought them. Turkey bought them. There are places in South Africa are buying them. Now, I believe in deterrence, though, however, and I would go further with this. Like, it's a dumb idea to sell it to some of the countries. I think it's a great idea to give it to every country, though, right? It's the same little, if every country, though, had an anti-attack weapon across the board and nobody could attack them, war wouldn't exist. You know, but that's not going to happen. So we have to do this as a world population. We have to get control back of our governments. And the only way we're going to do that is stop dividing up on the little silly, dumb things that people like to divide up on, because we don't have time for that right now. So that's what's happening. And this is going to escalate to what's happening in Turkey. So we go on over to Turkey. What's happening in Turkey? Oh, boy. Some days you want to have like some good news, and other days you're just like, you know what? No, we done gave way too much power to the oligarchs who run this world. It's not going to be any good news coming out today. Not necessarily. Hold on. I thought I had it. So, yeah, here we go right here. It ain't got them on film. I always got something on film. They don't need to hide this. This is the border to Syria. The Turkey army is coming in. So, of course, we caught them shooting rockets from across the border. Apparently, it did not stop at that. They are now sending military into Turkey. And what's suspected, I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause on that. I'm going to pause. They had this one footage. I'm going to stop. Look at that truck. I'm thinking that's some elitist type. Why would one armored truck like that go through? I expected to see a whole bunch of tanks and different stuff. And mind you, this is one video. I suspect this is the same thing that America does. They always send in the elite units first. Same thing Russia does to send in the Spetsnaz first. I think Turkey's sending in their elites. They're fighting. Now, here's the weird why this is a problem. And it's a lot more than that. I don't have the video. I don't have it queued up. But they actually have units fighting, not just little special forces, but units fighting in Turkey, in Syria now. There are over 2,000 United States troops embedded with the Kurds in Syria. How do you think this story is going to end? What do you think is going to happen when those U.S. troops come under fire? Like, this is all the craziness that can happen. You know, World War II was started with a match, right? World War I, they're started from very small countries and very small conflicts, and they blow up into just some really horribly amazing things, unamazing things. So nothing good coming out from that front. We have to definitely get back in control of our governments, because this arms race is going to get way out of hand. Something I didn't know in terms of bin Laden.
A doctor who was the key to finding Osama bin Laden looks set to spend the rest of his life in jail. Pakistan's authorities have accused him of helping militants and arrested him soon after the US operation in May of 2011. Two US presidents have since promised to get him released, but it's now been 7 years. Murad Gaziev takes up the story.
You can argue Dr. Shakil Afridi helped catch this century's most wanted man, the man who did this.
I'm going to stop that right there because that's a lie. That's not even true. That was one of the men who did that. There were hundreds of men, if not maybe 1,000 men involved in doing that. And they only got the unpopular ones. They got the little guys. They got the low guys on the totem pole. They didn't get the big guys. And how do I know that to be fact? Because not one U.S. president will release the classified documents about 9/11. That's how I know. They're lying, and that one man didn't do it. But anyway, a lot of my friends already know that.
Let's go, guys. Let's go. Move. Right here, right here. Just stay right here. Let's go. Here it comes. Move it now. Let's go.
Osama bin Laden. You can also argue he was a traitor and a fraud. It all depends on where you're from.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden. the leader of Al-Qaeda. Tonight, we give thanks.
I don't believe that neither. That's a lie. Don't believe none of that. If they killed him, we'd have saw it. They did not do that. He is in a basement. He is in one of two places. He is either in a basement somewhere being tortured and trying to get more information out of him, or he's sitting on a beach somewhere relaxing with Saddam Hussein and all the other retired ex-CIA people. I don't believe none of that. Because when they do things that don't make sense, and it doesn't make sense, you don't kill someone and throw them over the edge of the deck. Not the most wanted man in the world. Do you think anybody would be that dumb? Do you think Special Forces is that dumb? Do you think the top Special Forces team in America is that lost that Americans would not want just to stop? That's BS. But anyway, most of y'all believe it, so we'll go over here. Most of y'all believe that, so I'm going to go over here. You know, you got your gas lit, you know, but anyway, we're going to keep going. I don't want to belabor that point. Bin Laden was there. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Oh, I love it. I'm sitting there, I'm telling you about these vaccines, y'all. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but anyway, I know my Obama friends getting upset. Listen, you know, there was a gun behind the podium, right? They had a gun on Sasha Malia Bow, something like that. They make presidents say this stuff. Presidents don't run this world. Just get out of that. That's not important. So the important thing is they didn't release him. Trump said he's going to release him after in 2 seconds, and that didn't happen either. 2 minutes. What did he say? They release him right away when I deal with it? No, because that's not how this works. So Pakistan put him in prison on false charges the minute they found out he was involved in getting bin Laden out of there. That should tell you who Pakistan is. You think Pakistan's a U.S. ally? It's not how this works. We give Pakistan an awful lot of weapons and an awful lot of money. So Pakistan will let us kind of do some things here and there, but we are not allies and we are not friends. And this is the sick thing that I think is coming that we need to pay attention to. Because America's broke, all right? America is one of the poorest countries on the planet, mainly because our every government siphoning our wealth out slowly and giving it to billionaires, all oligarchs all around the world. And Americans too silly and stupid and fighting each other to figure that out. But outside of that, the fact is, if you have a whole world paid off from your teats, you are feeding the whole world with weapons and money from your teats. What happens when the teats run dry? Have you ever seen a cow or a pig that's feeding on the teats and there's no more milk in there? It doesn't feel good on the cow. And that's what we are. We're a lactating cow that our lactation time is coming to an end. This is the dangerous time that we're coming to. So we got all these weapons all over the world. You got all these countries all over the world that are dependent upon us paying them off. What happens when those payoffs stop and they got all them weapons and they got issues with their neighbors? That's called world destabilization. That's when we all die. It's a bad thing, but you might not feel anything. Where am I going with all of this? The world is not in a gradable model. We have to stop talking about making the world great and get the world in a greatable model, which has to do with looking between the cracks and what these leaders are not saying. So let me say, Sister Lynn said, you always got to say, he said bin Laden's at George Bush's ranch. I believe it's possible. Lynn, you know what? I know that my government lies to me all the time. I know if you're in Russia, I know your government lies to me all the time, and they lie to you. I'm not in this false sense that the kings and the lords are here for us. So if bin Laden shows up, somebody, a paparazzi gets him, he's at the Bush ranch, he's hanging out with Putin, does not surprise me one. I wouldn't blink an eye. I'd be like, you know what? It makes sense. Makes perfectly good sense. They're all on the same team. The world's leaders, they are all on the same team. To me, I kind of sometimes think it's just a big stage play to see who they can get to fall into these ideas that Davos is good or Davos is bad, instead of Davos might be a good idea, but no good or bad completely is going to happen there because it's not about us. It's all about them. So thank you, Brother Don. I agree. The whole Osama story, it's a lie. It's BS from the very beginning. You know, the fun thing, the good thing about today now is that most people, I think, know that. Most people accept that we don't know the truth, and a lot of people figure they know the truth, but the reality is we don't know the truth. And how do we know? We know we don't know the truth. It's because they still won't let us. They still won't let us have the information. So it's a lie. It has to be a lie. And the people who caused it are still in power, which is why they won't release it, which is the same reason they won't tell you about JFK and who killed him until after George Bush is gone. And then we'll get to know who was involved. But that's, it'll be way after the point where people will care. And people will be dumb enough at that time to say, you know what? That was a long time ago. Our government wouldn't do that no more. It's like the Bay of Tonkin and how they lied us into pretty much every war. Oh, that was a long time ago. They wouldn't do that no more. And it's even like slavery. People who doubt conflict minerals and just, they don't really get that, these kids in prison are supposed to be in prison. Oh, that was a long time ago. We wouldn't lie and put a whole bunch of people in slavery in prison today. We wouldn't do that because that was just them. We're better, and we're not better. We're the same exact corporations. Like somebody just said, the nations don't exist. We're just departments of different corporations. So I found that to be interesting. And what is my take on him? Shaquille Afridi, I think that they want people to stay focused on this idea that bin Laden did this alone. First of all, I don't believe in prison to begin with, so I don't think the guy should be in there. But the more important thing is it's one of these news releases that it drills in this concept that bin Laden was the problem. He was the great evil. He did it. We got him. It's all over with. Don't look at Saudi Arabia. Ignore what's happening in Yemen. Saudi Arabia and the prince are good people, even though they killed 3,000 Americans on 9/11 and responsible for the 5 million people who died since in this big lie of a scheme. So I think it's important that people talk about 9/11. I think the doctor is interesting, but I think it feeds into this drink the Kool-Aid narrative that they got the bad guy, and they didn't get the bad guy. We're cheering the bad guys. That's my take on that. And Afghanistan, yes, thank you, Lynn. Afghanistan, some fairy tales too. I don't believe none of that. Julian had better not die. Yeah, well, Lynn, Julian, they don't do truth tellers in this world. This world is not for truth tellers. Truth tellers, you got but a minute. I think our biggest problem is we let truth tellers get too big. The minute they get too big, they catch some cancer. Their car runs into a phone. What did he hit? A tree or a Brother Mike? I forgot. He hit a tree or he hit a telephone pole, whatever. The truth tellers, they don't get to stay. Assange, I actually like the brother where he's at. I don't like the fact that he's stuck there, but if they get him out, he's going to magically die of something. That's just unfortunately how this world goes when the 99%, all the commoners are still, or most of the commoners are still cheering for the lords and the kings because they have some sort of idea that lord or that king is selectively actually going to do something for the poor people. It doesn't work that way. Thank you. Sister Aja said we need to make ourselves great first. And this is where I go with this. And this is what I'm talking about is we don't have any politic fixes to any of this. Our fixes are completely and totally and 100% on the inside. The human species is broke. And until we figure out how to fix our hearts, get some warm blood going in there, realize who and what we actually are, then you can trick people into fighting over really, really dumb things. But look at this. Are you having a bad day? I got to show you this. You having a bad day? You feel unlucky? Are you on a bad planet? Do you feel unlucky? Do you feel like a pharmaceutical commercial? Do you feel like it's possible that you this is good news. I take it back. We did have a little bit of good news. Look at this crosswind. It is blowing the daggone plane. Are you having a bad day? The plane is almost lopsided and just in time. Look at that. Oh! Do you see what meditation can do for y'all? Do you see what's possible? You got to think good. You got to think possible. And don't get on no daggone airplane with negative people. Don't, because it's going to crash and you're going to die. There's always good stuff happening. We don't really see the good stuff. We don't focus on it so much. But that was crazy. That was that was one of the ones I wanted to show you. Look at some other good news. Hang on, we got some more good news. Check it out. Good news. That's not good news. That's a commercial. I don't do commercials. That's not good news. That's horrible. Horrible news. We don't have nothing to buy. I'm not buying nothing. Wait till that goes off. I don't do commercials. I'm not buying anything. I'm Surprised it wasn't a pharmaceutical one. You know, almost every commercial is a pharmaceutical commercial now. How sick this is. Look at this. Oh, you can't hear it. Hold on. Good news. Lost and found. Abandoned huskies found a home in the Moscow region. Hold on. Is it playing? Look at those beautiful animals. So a shelter for homeless and abandoned huskies opened in Russia's city, and they rescued these huskies that. So what's interesting to me about this, I love me some take, it becomes tame. It becomes peaceful. It can tap into love. It doesn't have to kill for food. When you take a society, a world, a nation, and you make the people fight each other for food and survival, they'll do the same thing. This is why I'm saying, when you say make America great again, I ask the question though, is America greatable? Is the world greatable? Do we have a model that can turn our wolves into dogs? Are we even trying to turn the human wolves into dogs? Are we trying to solve scarcity for them so they can become domesticated? Or are we destabilizing everything, making it harder for them to live, harder to eat, harder to, and pushing us to this time where our communities look like the prisons in France where the guards can't even keep control because the people are going so crazy over scarcity? Something to think about. My friends already know about that. I have to interject that every now and then. That's why dogs don't eat our feet off. Not all dogs, because we solve their scarcity, which is what should be happening at the Davos Forum right now, is they should be discussing how do we solve scarcity for the human race. That's how you tame it and you make it domesticated, where everybody doesn't feel they need S-900 missiles, S-400, whatever they call it, S-4000 missiles to repel attacks. And so this is the folks here yelling and screaming. They're upset with Trump coming in with nationalism. But this is what I think we don't go far enough with the details of this. Somebody comes up with a message. A group tells us that everything this person says is going to be horrible. So instead of looking at the truth that is in between the cracks, we fight it immediately because we don't like the person.
World Economic Forum, and this year it's pulled in a record number of world leaders, including the U.S. president. But many are determined to show that he is not welcome. Around 2,000 people marched through the streets of Zurich to denounce Trump's visit and the entire gathering. Several smaller protests took place elsewhere in Switzerland, including Geneva. RT's Jacqueline Voga takes a closer look at what is on the agenda at the Davos Forum.
Let's find out why.
The World Economic Forum is well underway here in the scenic town of Davos, nestled in the Swiss Alps, and the guest list is chock full of political heavyweights, such as May, Merkel, Macron, and to many surprise, Trump. No one expected Mr. America First.
Hold on, I gotta pause it, y'all. This is our saviors. These are all of our saviors. They gonna save us. Kumbaya, my billionaires. Kumbaya. I'm sorry. That's not cynical. To me, it's funny. It's funny that we think the wealthiest people in the world are actually at one of the wealthiest resorts in the world, and they're there to talk about us. I think that's so sick, it's funny.
To even consider participating in a forum whose theme boasts the globalist idea of creating a shared future in a fractured world. And yet he's slotted to be the last speaker of the event and will most likely use the opportunity to soapbox about his own brand of economic nationalism. And while the political elite continue to enjoy the conference and like
that, but look how pretty that is. They're just waking up every morning. Where are you at work right now? Are you working? Are you on your cotton field? You picking some cotton? Look how pretty that is. They woke up this morning. You know they had tea and crumpets. You know who paid for that tea and crumpets? We did. We did. Because we so dumb and stupid and we're sending all of our money to the kings and the lords. Let me keep That's so pretty. I'm mad. I mean, I got a good view. I got my plants and stuff, but it don't look like that. Like, you bastards. Ah! All right, I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
all that surprising, given that those in the 99% aren't the ones enjoying the benefits of the recent economic growth.
That's us.
Oxfam, who works towards the relief of global poverty, has recently put out a report outlining just how dire the situation is, revealing that in 2017, 82% of the wealth generated went to the top 1%. The number.
Hold on, I played that yesterday. I'm not gonna play that again. So I want to speak on that. You see the people in the sweatshop working, sewing bras, sewing carcinogen bras, so they can, get $1 for the month so they can feed their family. So Americans in the West, we can buy our carcinogen bras and wear them just because men like the perks. Like, this is horrible. I'm like, I'm like flipping out when this stuff comes out. I'm like, oh my God, it's all freaking related. Listen, here's a clue. Here's a clue. If any of them who actually are doing these things around the world about world poverty actually had a clue or knew what they were doing, would poverty would it still exist? How's poverty going? How are we doing with that thing? Is it reducing or is it increasing? They just gave you the numbers right there. Poverty's increasing. So what does that tell you? Everybody at the meeting has no damn clue what they're doing, except for maybe Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson might know something. He might say, because he's saying something a little different. Everybody else, let's keep doing the same thing. We're going to make the world great. You can give everybody who's out there protesting Trump in the Davos meeting, not the protesters, they're a little lost, but the people actually in the meeting, give them all make the world great again hats. You can make them red too. They can look like the other hat. Make the world great again. Why? Because we've been at it for a long time and we know what we're doing. The billionaires, we are here to save y'all. Instead of a little common damn sense, right? They operate on these philosophies that you give a man a fish, you give a woman a fish, and they'll be okay. No, you give them a fish, you got to give them a fish tomorrow. You give them a fish tomorrow, you got to give them a fish the day after that. You stop giving them fish, they starve and die again. And that's what they do. They siphon money from the 99% all over the world to keep giving people fish. What I say? Give them some fish in the aquaponic system, damn it. Just give them everything. Give them fish, the aquaponic system, some water, and fish food, and some seeds. They can grow their own food, so they don't need you. But the problem is we keep, like in America, we build up these organizations to help the poor by keeping the poor. So now I am a business owner that helps the poor. And the only way I get to keep my job, the poor have to keep existing. It's like the pharmaceutical industry. The only way that I get to have my job is people got to keep taking drugs. The same thing with the war on cancer. The only way that I can keep running in this multi-billion-dollar war on cancer organization, war on cancer industry, people got to keep having cancer. So the people who make the money to solve the problems never actually solve the damn problems because they need poverty to exist. The more stories that come out on poverty, like the last one just on the Congo, 400,000 people starving and 200 million people starving in Yemen, then you can keep sending them money. To me, it's all one big scheme, not just as well orchestrated as the Clinton Foundation. So I got a lot of friends who donated money to the Clinton Foundation. I'm just like, oh boy. What did they say? I was watching Lee Camp the other day. Less than 5% of the money donated to the Clinton Foundation actually made it to charities. We have to stop believing the lies. Like, we have to stop going down this road that the billionaires are here to save us. They're not. They're here to get tea, crumpets, some warm, hot ice or tea while they sit in the hot tubs in Davos while we're sitting here working in sweatshops. They're not here to save us. Kristen said they don't give a flying poop about us. No, they don't. No, they don't. Because we in some poop holes, and they all want us in some poop holes. But they come up with this stuff where they're all like they're fighting amongst each other, but they're all friends. They're all in it together. Where's my picture at? Hold on. I got a picture. If they can keep up this idea that they're fighting and they're friends and they're fighting for us, but they're friends and then they're fighting for us, and the billionaires hate each other and they like each other and they hate each other, but then they're fighting for us, and people keep believing this. They keep falling into these lies. They keep believing this idea that they're here to save us, and they're not. They just want you to drink the Kool-Aid. That's all they want. They just want you to drink the Kool-Aid, smile, get back in your sweatshop. Although you got a nice sweatshop. Your sweatshop, you don't have sewing machines. You got nice computers. You could take a lunch. You could take an hour and a half lunch if you want sometimes too. Nobody's really watching you, but you still make money on the people in those sweatshops. So anyway, So I'd love to be a fly on those walls, Lynn. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want to be a fly on any of them walls because those are the most evil people on the planet. You don't want to be anywhere near those people. It might just perspire out of them and end up in you. You don't want to be anywhere near those nasty people. I won't let you go. So, Lynn, you ain't going nowhere. You stuck right there. Fools and their money are soon parted. Yes, absolutely. George Carlin. It's a big club. Thank you, Kristen. It's a big club, and church, say it with me. And we ain't in it. We ain't in it. I should go back to the speech area, but I'm not going to do that. I go back to the speech and people's mental thing kick in. They're like, oh, no, but that billionaire, he's going to save us. They're here. And that other, no, they're not here to save us. They're not here to save us because historically, we have factual historical evidence that no billionaire has ever showed up to save us. Do you know how illogical it is to actually consider the idea now that one will? It doesn't exist. We have no evidence. There's more evidence of aliens. There's more evidence of Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and Champ and what are the other Sasquatch and all the other. There's more evidence of that. There was more evidence of the giant squid. Remember when they told you, the ancient sailors told you all the sea monsters in the water, and for the last 200 years, there ain't no sea monsters. They're just lying. They're just lying. Now we're finding the sea monsters. Y'all ever wanted like a delicious, conspiracy theory, just an unknown thing? Look up the bloop. The bloop. It was a sound heard by underwater sonar, made, they think, by a massive creature that nobody knows what it came from. Same thing as the giant squid. It actually existed. Our ancestors didn't lie to us. But there's more evidence of all of this than there is that a billionaire actually will ever save up to help us. So what do we do? I'm not going to show any more of the news. What do we do is we stop fighting. What do we do is we stop clapping and we stop agreeing with people who have never, ever been known to do anything for us. We stop with this idea that the next piece of duct tape, that's going to do it. The next piece of duct tape, yeah, that'll seal the radiator. The next piece of duct tape, that'll seal the engine block. The next piece of duct tape, that'll fix the carburetor. The next piece of duct tape, and you're still duct taping and trying to make great a system that we know is not gradable. We have no evidence anywhere that anything is gradable because things in America are steadily getting worse. We don't see it and we don't usually feel it because it's covered up on slave labor in other countries. You can see people running in here and you start to get indicators of it. If you have friends in other nations, you'll see that. If you live in Germany, things, I don't know what you see, but I know you see immigrants coming in. Was there 5 regions in Germany, 5 cities in Germany now have banned immigrants? My question for Germany is, were you a part of the Gulf War? Did you help cause this? Then why in the hell would you ban people fleeing the countries you destroyed? Let's try not to be so ignorant, right? Let's try to really put on everybody else's shoes, not just your shoes and the people you like shoes. Put on everybody's shoes. What did Desiree say? Perfect visual right there for people right now. Yes, because this is us. We are in a broken down, beaten up earth that's not designed for anything good because everybody we put in power, we don't give them the solutions. We don't give them solve scarcity solutions. We don't give them solutions for abundance. We sit back and we just complain and we wait for them to hand us their solutions, knowing that all of their solutions are going to come from bankers and Wall Street and oligarchs, who they all work for. So that's why I think it's a time for people to stop fighting, time for people to grow up, a time for go find your other and talk to your others and find out what their gripes are. Realize that they are intelligent also. They have very legitimate gripes. Find the common ground. There's a time, people, when you don't have to talk about what you have different. There's a time, I think, when you know that this car ain't gonna make it much further, it's about to break down on us, that you need to talk about what you have common ground on. There's a time when you take your issues with another group and just put them aside for a little bit. Find that common ground across all nations. and we all start pushing sustainable solutions. We all look at what is artificial scarcity? How did it get started? Who started it? How do we get away from it? Start listening to brothers like Joseph Peters. I keep messing his name up back and forth. I'm not all that smart, y'all. Sometimes I'm not that smart. We have to start going in the right directions. We have to start having hope. And how does that begin? It begins with solving your own evil. It begins in the mirror because we all participated. We all were a part of it. I know some of my friends, they get upset when I say we, but we all participated and we all played a role in getting us here. Thank you. We look at the bigger picture. Stop looking at our little pea brain pictures. I know, get mad at me, that's fine, but I had one too. I'm just trying to widen my picture a little bit. Look at the big picture. Look at not what you can get this generation out of a politician, out of your argument with your neighbor, but maybe look at what your children aren't going to get in the next generation because you refuse to stop the greatest evil that's coming their way. We see automation coming down the pipe and it is not being used to help people. You know, like there was that we talked about. There was that university that came up with that device that makes water out of thin air. We can start converting desert climates over to tropical climates, or we can at least grow tropical plants that are fruiting in tropical, in desert environments with these devices. We can help people to actually eat food and grow their own food. We can help people be sustainable in their own countries. And the greatest side effect out of that, in putting your ignorance away and just trying to help people, they'll stop coming in your country. Perhaps they'll stop taking your jobs because they can live in their own land. Nobody wants to be in. Have you looked at your country? Nobody wants to be there. That's just you. Nobody wants, they don't want to be there, which is why when they're done, they make the money, they get the hell out. They don't want to be in your country. They weren't born there. They weren't raised there. They don't speak the language. Y'all stink, smell funny, wear too much perfume, cologne. They don't want to be there. Your water's dirty, got metals in it, Viagra, pharmaceuticals. They know you're crazy. They just can't live at home. So when we start building up their areas, the areas we bombed to poop holes, the areas that we wore out with the war on drugs and made them poop holes, when we give them a place where they can live with their cultures and their ethnicities in their lands where they love and they grew up, they stay home. That's how you fix things. You help people. You don't make $1 billion by freely giving it to people. Thank you, Brother Ward. Thank you. You don't make $1 billion by freely giving it to people. What's up, brother? I'll talk to you in a minute. You know, I met this dude the other day. Oh, it was crazy. I talked about it earlier, but he ran into Trump a long time ago. And I'm not bashing Trump. Don't get off in that. I'm not. I'm just saying he is what he is. And he became what he was raised to be. Obama is what he is. He became what he was raised to be. Clinton is what she is. She became what she was raised to be. The terrorists are what they are. They became who we bombed them into. How about we stop doing it? And that way we have less stuff to complain about. Like, I don't get the whining. It's like we did all of this. We made all this. Yes, Joseph Peters. Thank you, Brother Manuel. Joseph Peters. Joseph Peters has some good ideas. It requires a big transformation of the mind. And you know, Manuel, and that's a small transformation, right? That's a small transformation of giving a damn. That's it. All you have to do is have the ability to care about somebody else. And that's it. And then you can just try on everybody's shoes all over the world, the people you're not supposed to like. And all the changing actually happens by itself. I mean, you can tie in with, some of the phenomenal teachers, but the reality is when you start trying on people's shoes, you'll see how it feels. And it'll actually get you to where you need to be. So I think all people have to do is just start caring enough to listen, which is why groups don't want you to listen. They try to keep you locked into their side. They don't want you to listen to the other side, so you won't know how the shoes feel. We had a choice between fear and love. What do you choose? And Mary, I thank you, Mary. We have a choice between fear and love. What do you choose? I choose love, Mary, because I lucked up and I was born in the right area to the right family. A lot of people weren't, and a lot of people are locked into fear. And that's why I appreciate people like Joseph Peters, and I appreciate really smart people who are helping to treat that fear, right? Because everybody needs something different. Me, I just needed to see the logic. I needed to see both of the political parties in my country basically write laws that did nothing but destroy populations happily and wrote more of them. And that pulled me out. But that's because I had the raising I did. I think a lot of people are locked into fear, and they're too scared to step outside of their group. They're too scared to step outside of their indoctrination because they fear standing off by themselves. And I think we kind of address that with community. I think we just have to support each other more. We have to, identify, will this person be shifted by the logic? Will they be shifted by seeing pictures of kids in Yemen? Will they be shifted by seeing, a lot of the poor white folks that live in the Appalachian Mountains? Will they be shifted by seeing some of the poor black folks that live in Detroit? Will they be shifted by seeing some of the poor folks who live in the Congo? And give them that data to get them to shift, or take out that fear and introduce them to like the Venus Project or the Zeitgeist Movement or something that shows them there is hope. Like we need to, if a person is locked in that fear, you just show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that we can get there. I got friends who are like anti, utopia doesn't exist. Utopia always exists, right? I mean, there was a time in South America where to get a message over to another portion of the empire, you had to send a runner. These guys used to eat, was it quinoa and stevia, and they'd run like hell, and these guys would run 100 miles a day, I think is what it was. And they would finally get to where they needed to be after 2 or 3 days. And somebody one day, and I'm making this part up, but this is how it actually went. Emperor, one day, I can make something called a fax machine. It can go instantly from this part of the empire to that part of the empire. And they probably took him and they hung him. They said, you crazy. They hung the dude, poor guy. And 1,000 years later, somebody invented a fax machine. Everything that we imagine, it always can happen, but you got to take out the fear of we can't do it and we don't know how to do it. We always have done it. We always got to a point where we did it, but we got to take out the utopian haters, because none of this is utopia. We never get to utopia, but we get better. The idea of invention of the car, like we always get there, the idea of flying. They got drone pilots now. So now we can actually see the Jetson future that, we're all going to, not all of us. It'll just be the 1% of the 1% if the rest of us don't join in. But you got the drone taxis with flying. We're going to own cars in the future. You'll walk onto your helipad and drone taxi comes, lands, and takes you somewhere. Hopefully it ain't to Walmart, but it'll take you somewhere. So I think we'd have to try to deal with the fear of those who don't realize there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, yeah, and it's a walk. It's a walk. Because we walk pretty damn deep into this cave. It's dark. It's really dark. But I think you just have to turn them around and get them to, look, you see that light? We got to walk towards that light. Now, yeah, it's probably going to hurt, trip a little bit and fall, but let's not keep walking into the darkness. And this is what I'm saying in terms of making the world greatable. We got to make it greatable before we can make it great. And how you make it greatable is you start to promote ideas that will land us in that ending position of being where the light is in the dark cave that we're standing. That's how you get out of the cave. You focus and direct yourself towards the light. You don't let people hate on, oh, we'll never make it. And you just start walking. Eventually, one generation will get there. Hopefully we get there in our generation, but we might not. But our role as adults and parents is to direct societies, all societies and all nations in the right direction, focused on the light, not keep walking into the dark, draining swamps that don't have plugs, making America great and it's not greatable. What did the last president say? Hope and change we can believe in, with no hope and absolutely no change possible because the people they work for won't allow it. We stop believing their lies. We start giving them the solutions. That's what I'm kind of thinking. What's that, Gretchen? Said that car looks like my car. I put my mirror back on with duct tape. I ripped it off. I ripped it off trying to park next to a wall. Yeah, you know, and I'm not saying don't fix the car. Sometimes we got to fix the car, but at a certain point in time, you know, that friend will come up to you and like to tap on your shoulder. Hey, Gretchen, girl, listen, I got to tell you a secret. Your car is a poop hole. Oh, this is funny how all this ties together. Your car is a poop hole. Fix your car or buy a new car or go to an actual mechanic who knows how to fix it. Stop going to the same people that keep putting straps of duct tape on there, charging you full price for the fixing of the car. Maybe that's what we need to do. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Boy, we have to stop buying the magic. Yes, Jeannie, we need to stop buying the bull shizzle magic because it's not magic and it's not magical bull shizzle. It's just bull shizzle. That's all it is. But, you know, one of the things that I appreciate about our current president is the fact that he is a narcissistic showman. We've never had a showman president before, and this is why I say I think we can use that. And this is why people have to find common ground. Because I honestly believe when you have a showman friend, you have a narcissistic showman friend, you always can get them to do whatever you want. All you got to do is convince them that everybody in the neighborhood is going to clap if they do it, and they'll do it. That all your friends will admire them if they do it, and they'll do it. And this is why I'm saying that you know, if you're on the left, you need to start talking to people on the right. Not about the stuff y'all like to fight about, because it's like the beginning speaker opened how he said is that you always got to focus on the silence. Don't look at what the leaders are saying. That's always the things that get you fighting. Listen to the things they're not saying. You know what they don't talk about? They don't talk about peace. They don't talk about famine. They don't talk about universal health care. You notice how I got to say that slow? Universal health care. Only one of them is talking about the prison industry. Talk about the things they don't talk about. And I think you'll find that most everybody agrees on some common ground. And then we have to get that message out that, hey, if you do this, we will cheer for you. We actually will clap for you. Imagine that. Imagine if we actually did a few things. I probably can't do a lot, but what if we did a few things and made America greatable? Perhaps the next president could make it great. But it means you have to grow up. It means that you have to lay down your sword, and you got to, on the other side, you got to lay down your blind love. And we have to go back to what we used to be. Like I started with the pictures of the election and how everybody is at the election. I am a blank supporter. You know, I'm a Jill Stein supporter. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a Clinton supporter. After the election, though, you're supposed to grow up, and you're not a supporter of anything. At that point, you go back to being a planet supporter, right? At that point, you go back to being a human being supporter, and you critique the parties. You critique whoever parties, senators, congressmen, presidents that are in office. You applaud when they do something good, and you let them have it when they do something bad. That's what adults do. So, but anyway. All right, that was a long one this morning. I appreciate y'all joining in. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention, I got on my pajamas. Y'all see my pajamas? Y'all like my pajamas? But, you know, I don't take this stuff it's not too serious. These are my pajamas. Y'all see? I got my pajamas on. You know why I got my pajamas on? Yes, I got candy striped pajamas. I got candy striped pajamas on because people, when y'all get to a point where you think and you start believing these billionaires, these lords and kings and these people are here to save us, when you want to drink that Kool-Aid and go ahead and join that cult, you get deep into the cult. When I was a kid, we used to have a commercial. It's a brand of cereal. It's called Trix. And my message for you today, tricks are for kids. Tricks are for kids. You as an adult, you need to stop being tricked. Tricks are for kids. Don't be a kid. We need to grow up. We need to mature. We need to go back to being human. Anyway, this is Gerard. Y'all have a wonderful day. Love y'all to death. Bye-bye.